Hi everyone, my name is Mohammed Salem. I'm doing a quick video because this whole mandatory vaccination thing seems to be creating a massive divide. The question is why? Now, I will go into it further, but first of all, I would like to point out the one thing that makes this whole argument for mandatory vaccinations mute. According to the Australian Government's Department of Health and their immunisation handbook, the criteria for valid consent are as follows. For consent to be legally valid, the following elements must be present. There are 4 points, but I will bring to you the second point in the handbook, which is crucial. It must be given voluntarily and in the absence of undue pressure, coercion, or manipulation. Now, before anyone starts accusing me of being an anti-vaxxer, I would like to point out that I am fully vaccinated, and that was my choice. Although I would also like to point out that if I was not vaccinated, it shouldn't mean that the points I am making aren't worth listening to. I chose to get vaccinated because I'm travelling the world and I didn't want to risk it. But if I was to stay in Australia, I probably wouldn't have gotten the jab, and that's because I wanted to be cautious. Now, in Australia, we've created a divide similar to the movie Divergent. You know, you've got the inside the wall, outside the wall. Inside the wall are the vaccinated, outside the wall are the unvaccinated or the resistant. So it makes such a good movie. But Australia wants to create vaccine passports and find those establishments who serve the unvaccinated, and like pubs and restaurants, and not to mention finding the individuals themselves. Now let's go back a minute. Isn't this the definition of undue pressure and coercion? The point I'm trying to make in this video is that vaccinations should be a choice, and those who don't get vaccinated shouldn't be penalised for not getting the jab. And that's why I'm saying to the Australian government and media bodies in Australia, stop pressuring and stop coercing. Now, if you're vaccinated, what's your problem? The unvaccinated know the risks, and they'll have to deal with it. You may argue that those vaccinated may still contract the virus. The difference is it won't be as severe. But the vaccines themselves, according to the health experts, aren't 100% anyway. So you may still get the coronavirus regardless, and you may get it from someone vaccinated, not necessarily from someone who's unvaccinated. Now, the point of this video is that people do have a right to choose. But as someone who is not an anti-vaxxer, I am, however, cautious. And I am sure most of the people who are choosing not to get vaccinated aren't anti-vaxxers, but just people who aren't convinced the vaccine is good for their bodies. The question is why, and could it be because the vaccine creation process was rushed? Let's bench that for a moment. Governments are telling us to trust the health experts, but I'll give you some examples of where the health experts got it wrong, and I'll let you decide. The promotion of smoking by doctors in the US between the 1930s and 1950s. Physicians and throat doctors in particular were paid by tobacco companies to recommend smoking as a remedy for throat irritation and to perpetuate the notion that smoking was healthy. Dr. Walter Freeman's ice pick lobotomies from 1937 to 1967. He performed 3,500 lobotomies with a 14% fatality rate, and those who survived were either permanently crippled or left in a vegetative state. The thalidomide catastrophe, a drug created in Germany by the Grunenthal Group in the 1950s and 60s, was available in 46 countries. It was a drug heavily marketed to pregnant women for morning sickness, and because of this drug, over 80,000 babies died before birth, and 20,000 were born with defects and without limbs. Now, before you say, hold on, that was a long time ago and medicine has advanced, let's bring something closer to this millennium. The Vioxx scandal. The Vioxx was a painkiller approved for use by the FDA in 1999, and it led to the deaths of 60,000 people in the US alone. The company that created it made over $2.5 billion in revenue, and the drug also caused an alarming increase in heart attacks and strokes, and it was removed from the market in 2004. Now, that was 5 years after it was given to people, made available on the market. Now, the COVID vaccines were only created this past year. We don't know the long-term side effects. So we don't know what will happen in 5 years. Will it be benched? Will it not? And that's people's main concern. So I'm not for or against vaccinations, but I am pro-choice. This video is just to raise points for certain people to think about before going on a war with those who have just chosen to be cautious. We don't know what the long-term side effects are. So let people choose. Don't force them to do something they don't want to do.